Welcome to AI News of the Week. We are your go-to girls for AI and all topics related to AI. I am here with Marcy Newell, and I'm Amber Ivy, aka AI, and we have another crazy week for you in the world of AI. I read a few things, so I'm like, what is happening? It's happening so quickly. Like when we look at this moment a year from now and like look back, it's gonna be wild. But
Yeah.
Marcy, what do we have on deck to talk about today?
Oh man, we have a lot of updates just from today. Not even like the whole week. Like
Okay,
today, I had to like shut it down because there was just too
it's too
many.
much.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna start with the fun stuff like always. So you guys know I love Stable Diffusion, is one of my favorites, and Stability AI. They released Stable Code, right? So now we're getting back to task related AI software. I've been talking about this from the very beginning, like months ago. I try to tell people it's gonna get task related because now we're gonna start going to the professional level. And at professional levels, it's not generic, excuse me. It's always going to start going towards very specific task related software. And
What
of
does task
course,
related mean? Like, what does that
um,
mean for the normal person?
okay, so for example, like with ChatGPT,
Mhm,
people are trying to use plugins to make pictures and mind maps and ask questions. And it's like, no, once you get to like the university and then corporate level, it's
mhm.
going to be task specific because then the software can optimize for better results and accuracy. You're not going to have as many mistakes. So like
That's
that's the
great.
main purpose of it. Yeah. And then of course, uh, I don't know what happened today, but it seems everybody wanted to drop their code today because there's a few of them. Like
Okay.
even just a few days ago with Stack Overflow, they had
Mhm,
Overflow AI. I just posted about that today too.
mhm.
And it's like it's gonna start happening, people. So next up we have with Leonardo AI, which is like a text to image app, and they dropped their iOS app. Do I have to
That
say
was
it
quick. We
again?
just talked about them last week.
Yeah,
So
and
they
now
were
we're
ready.
going back to more companies trying
Yeah.
to do what I've told you guys. What would be the big business that's coming out? Server side hosting for individuals who don't have desktops.
Mhm.
Prepare to start paying a lot for different subscriptions, people. I've been trying to tell you. You're
We're
going to
about
be
to
able to
have
use
20
one.
AIs, like we have 20 streaming services all on our iOS if you don't have the desktop version.
Exactly. So they
But
need
please
to
also make
partner
sure
up.
it's the right AI tool
Mhm.
because a lot of folks will drop things that use language when you search. So please make sure you're downloading the right things if you are on iOS or a Android.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Then next up, we have NVIDIA with their AI. It's called
Mhm,
Nemo, and it's to build the LLM, which is large language model,
mhm,
at scale from
mhm.
anywhere. I think they were focusing on enterprise companies. So once again, I'm trying to tell you guys, now they're moving away just from the general population. They're moving towards corporate. They're moving towards large corporations to implement that within their business. It's
Mhm.
getting real, people. I'm trying to tell you guys, you better catch up. And next up,
And why does
NVIDIA
that
again.
matter? Talk through that. Like, I understand, you understand, but talk to folks who may not understand. Why does that matter at a level of first, we OpenAI, like, not first, but like in a way where
Yeah,
people can understand OpenAI released something to the masses. Anyone
yeah,
could get access to it at a point. Granted, before that, researchers were having it and some limited folks. They released
yeah.
it to everyone. Now, all these companies are going, trying to figure out their play. Why does that matter?
Okay. Like always, I have to control myself.
Level zero, balance,
All
the
right.
balance.
So the reason that it's so important because I don't care if, let's say, your grandmother doesn't know AI,
Mhm,
she's going to have to start understanding how to then update different systems, update
yeah,
different process on their app or whatever company it is that they're using. Once companies at scale start implementing these AI softwares, it's going to be the trickle down effect, meaning your grandmother, your aunts, your non-tech people, they're going
mhm,
to have to adapt. They're going to have to learn. And of course, for me, because education is extremely important, the
right,
educational divide is going to get bigger because
mhm,
individuals who are not aware of how to use these softwares when they're going to have no choice but to use them, it's
mhm.
going to be an issue. And by the way, That's another opportunity for a business that's going to also happen. I was going to talk about that another day, but I might as well say it
Okay,
now.
go for it.
Is that now we're going to have, instead of marketing agencies, with all these fake experts anyway, we're going to have these companies that are going to say, oh, we are AI implementation companies. We're going to help
Yeah,
you adapt to
they're
these
already
20
doing it.
different.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And we're going to see more and more of that because people are going to be confused. It's like, how do
Right.
I update all this information? So now we're going to see the trickle down effect. So that's why it's important. And then we're going to start seeing all the other companies, on even entrepreneurs. And I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you need to know how to code. And I'm probably going to be very offensive right now by saying this, but
go
to
for it.
all these entrepreneurs that like to tell people, it's okay, girl, you don't need to know how to code. And I know most of my audience is 100% male, but just in case you know somebody, please let them know that you need to know how to code. I don't care who I offend because it's a
Why
lot.
though?
You need to know how to code because you're going to get left behind. Point blank, period. You're going to get left behind because guess what? You're waiting for people to tell you, oh, okay, you can use this point and click software. Oh, I wish somebody would create this. You mean what we did 6 months ago? It's already there. If you would pick up a book, if you would pick up a tutorial, a free course by MIT, by Google, or hire somebody who's educated in this field, all your wildest dreams about these creation that you want to add to your company that already exist, you could have it right now. You don't have
Yeah,
to
it's
wait for
there.
the
And there's enough
future.
libraries and people have done a lot of work. So learn the basics, understand how to access all this stuff is very important.
And you're not going to be a market leader. I'm going to put it bluntly. I'm just sick and tired of these liars who are telling women, no, you want to know what
Y'all touch Marcy today, boy. Go ahead.
I'm trying to tell you? Because look, women, sorry, tech bros. Women are going to be the most affected. If you look up research, we're talking about between 40 to 80% of women who are going to be impacted as far as their job role. If you are going to believe these so-called experts are, girl, you don't need to know how to code. It's all good. Just point and click.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have a job. Your business is not going to thrive. You're not going to be a market leader. And sorry, you're not going to be able to compete against the tech bros who already use AI to automate everything. You're going to get left behind. And then you're going to cry about it and say, oh, girl, why didn't you tell me at the conference I needed to know how to code or hire a tech bro to help me? Because now have no place to go. And I'm going to be like, well, you should have watched my video because I told you guys 6 months ago to stop believing these little liars who are not educated in tech. They're not mathematicians. They're not statisticians. They're not research scientists. They have no idea how to code. And they're just telling you that to get your money because they think you're an easy target. There is no other way to put it because people
Mm-hmm.
are going to exploit you for profit. They're going to say, oh, girl, it's too hard. It's not too hard. You don't need
Mm-hmm.
to know everything. You need to learn how
Yeah.
to use APIs because if you get a
Mm-hmm.
key, then you can download certain software. It's
Oh
literally
yeah.
like put in a password, you upload a little code to your website, boom, it gives you access
Yeah.
to different things. You can copy and paste certain code. It's very simple. I probably need to make some tutorials for you guys
You
to help you
probably
guys.
should talk through what are the basics so I'm hearing this as a person who even likes tech and I'm overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, I gotta do this. What
I'm
am I supposed
sorry.
to do? Walk me through step one. What are like the basics someone should know? Are you talking about different coding
Okay,
languages? Should I know Python? Should I go even all the way
Python.
back to C? Like, what does it look like? Like, where should I start today? I've never touched a code other than I may know how to change the color of
Okay.
my text. What does
Yeah,
the person do?
I would say three very basic things. Let's say you have a basic WordPress website. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's like step one. You need to have some sort of website where you have like FTP access. Okay.
And you can actually
Sorry,
do.
you're not going to be able to use some sites like Wix, some sites. What's the
Yeah,
other
none of
joint?
those. They don't have. You can get developer keys for them, but they're
Yeah,
not
but
built that way.
you need something where you can have FTP, file transfer protocol. That's the
Yep.
backend where you can actually have some access to how things are run on the
Mm-hmm.
backend. Okay, you need that's like number one because people are like, well, I'm just gonna go get this. Sorry, it ain't gonna work there. They don't even give you access. So you
Mm-hmm.
just need something with a website where you have access on the backend. And
Okay.
then you can just say, hey, I'm going to learn how to use an API. They have free courses on like Udemy. You can
Mm-hmm.
go to Coursera. I mean, there's people
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube for free. Like,
Yeah.
just learn how to use an API. It's basically like download a piece of
What is an
code.
API? Break it down.
Oh, okay, that's too much right now, man.
Or the
Like,
quick version. It allows you to, I'll quick version it. It allows you to transfer data or information from one place to another
yeah,
using an integration. Like that's the
okay,
simplest way
yeah,
to explain it.
way better because I was gonna go a different direction
No,
and
that's why I was like,
confuse
let me just do
people.
the simple
Yeah,
version. Go ahead.
I was gonna go a little bit deeper.
You was bringing
Okay,
that your tech background. I'm like, I'm playing language real quick.
okay, I appreciate that because I was about
No
to say,
problem.
well,
Yeah, this
okay,
is what it is. But yeah.
yeah. So okay, so yeah, it's just basically connecting, like she said.
Yep.
So once we do that, then you just learn a few little Python scripts. You can use PHP code to start doing like little copy and paste codes and start that way. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be super complicated, but for example, let's say like with an open source software, and they say,
Right.
hey, you can show people, you can copy this code, and then people can make text to image on your website.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, it's something simple like that. It's not like it's, oh, we're doing crazy weird things. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, now people can come to you and they can make their, let's say you're running a t-shirt company. Let's put a real
Right.
example. And now
Mm-hmm.
you want people to create the designs on your site, right? And then you can use like an API for a company that has open source for text to image file. And then now you can offer that service on your website as long as it has commercial use. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can go ahead and offer that service, and then people can say, hey, sign up for a membership, or you can use
Right. And
that,
you can monetize. Yep.
be a part of my community, or
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And that's another way to increase your revenue. That's another way to make people say, hey, if I'm selling a course, if I'm selling an ebook, I also have the ability to create the images directly from you. That's how you add value to people. So
Mm-hmm.
when people say, oh, well, no, you have to go to ChatGPT, it's like, no, you can come to my website.
Right.
Even
And
with
do the
you
same
see, it's the
thing because they
exact same.
offer.
Exactly. So it's like that's how you offer value. That's how you're going to compete. And people
Mm-hmm.
are like, because they think they have to make things from scratch. And it's like, no,
It's
you're
so much has
literally
been done.
taking their software that they have and then you're using it on your site. It's
And then editing it, making it work for you. Or
exactly. And if you
changing the
don't
code, make it work for what you're doing.
exactly. And if you don't know how to code, you can hire people. You know, you can, but you
Yeah.
have to realize you have to prepare now for it. You know,
Right. And
let's say
someone
you have
should know
to
how to code in your company. So even though and
exactly.
I'm glad you said that, even though you may never touch a code, um, having an expert on your team who knows how to do that, who can do it for you, that's akin to the same thing. And it's
Mhm.
good to be able to know how to, because it's going to get more competitive, right? Like you may be at the top of your business right now. What Marcy's saying that in order for you to keep competing in the new world, you got to take it to the next level. Before
Mm.
no code could work up to a point, but now with these advanced learning models and AI models, you got to be able to integrate that stuff. And they're giving a lot of this stuff away for free and giving you the API, or if you're paying a certain amount to use a certain amount of information that comes across, you may have to pay for a certain amount of it, but they are giving you access to all the stuff that they've done before. So
Yeah.
why not use it to make your company go to the next level? Think about if you owned like Marcy was saying around a t-shirt company, if you own companies that create furniture or textile for the furniture. You could have people create all their stuff on your
Yep.
site and take your stuff to another level where you literally do on demand printing for folks and all that cool stuff using these AI tools. So we're trying to
And
help you not only
I
understand the
made a
technical.
video about that. About the, like you said, textile. I
Yep.
made a video about that like 3, 4 months ago on Midjourney. You create patterns.
Yep.
In 1 minute, I went and created an entire leggings company.
Yep.
I can make 3,000 leggings in
That
1
quick.
month. It's
And
like,
sell them. And then people are buy the stuff. Now that's a big thing. Like I'm bringing my book out another week. But no, this picture is from Midjourney. Like that's what inspired my book. That's not, I didn't create this. And that picture gave me the idea for the
show them
book,
the
but
cover. Show
it
them the
was for,
cover of the
yeah,
book.
I already did that last week. And I'm
Oh,
like, this
well,
is
you're
also
gonna
a
promote
podcast.
it.
If you're listening to the podcast that I'm going to put online, it's AI meets AI. But no, the picture in it, I played around with Midjourney to see like how I wanted the characters to look. And
Mhm.
that will be like a future version of the character. But at first, the reason honestly why I got on, because I was going to do that with t-shirts. And I was like, oh, I could just set it up and have these t-shirts that are customized and then get them printed and then just make some quick money on the side. Like I was thinking about that
Yeah.
as well, like AI generated t-shirt. I even got a whole, not gonna tell you how to name. I got a whole, just in case I do it, I got a whole like name that is like related to teas, because you can
Yeah.
use like generative teas or whatever I did.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's ways to do this for sure. So make sure you check out her YouTube, because a lot of this stuff is there and she'll go deeper in it. Even though AI News of the Week will hit the topics very quickly, check out her
Yeah.
YouTube for all the details.
Yeah. And then the next one, which is kind of connected to this, is Nvidia also they dropped the DGX cloud, and they partnered with HuggingFace, which
Mm.
the foundation of that is to customize generative AI models. So once again, you don't have to customize it yourself. They're literally like,
Right.
oh, you want the software, and then you can also have it customized. So it's like literally everything that you want and you desire is already created by the
Wow. Yeah.
biggest companies on the
Yeah.
planet.
And they're putting
Like,
it out there.
so once again, stop letting these little liars tell you no code. Now, let me say one thing before people get
Because
on
no
me.
code does matter.
No, I would say this. Look, you can make millions of dollars with no
You
code,
sure
right?
can. Yeah.
If you already are aware of how to use certain things. Because I'm not one of those people that are like, you're gonna make 10 grand in 1 month. Okay, liars, that's not the
Mhm.
truth. Because the truth is that you still have to have some sort of understanding of how things function. Okay.
Mhm.
You have to have an audience or money to run ads in order to then
Yeah.
sell your product or
Yeah.
service.
That's how you
So
get it, is the ads.
there's always going to be a pro and a con, and you have to be doing it right now. I'm sorry to tell you, you think you're going to be doing
Right.
this in a
Yeah.
year? This is one day, people. Okay, this is one day update. There's going to be
And we
like
haven't even got through the whole list.
there's going to be 4,000
Every
updates
day
in
stuff
six
is going to be
months.
coming out. Yeah. Every day, if not every
Like,
few minutes.
you think
It's
you're
only
going to
getting
catch
worse.
up?
And yeah. And then companies like Nvidia, because they create these chips that allow all this stuff to happen, they're also producing stuff. There's also other companies that are putting things out that are in the space. So even if you just search like AI companies and how quick, a
Yeah,
lot of them started in the less than 3 years. Like, they're quick. A lot of them even started last year. Many of
yeah,
them also started after Chat GPT was released, right? Because a lot of people
hmm,
even created companies off of Chat GPT's API. Like, thousands of thousands, if not tens of thousands of companies have been created doing what Marcy just said, like using their API to create another use case. And there's
yep,
going to be even more. Shoot, there's AI already running models for finances. I was reading an article that said an AI had a 500% return on stock trading. 500%, because
yeah,
someone took the model and was able to apply it in a financial setting. So
yeah.
imagine that. Like, I was like, let me go ahead and get this set
Yeah.
up.
That connects
So I
to what
can
we're going to talk
retire
about
next year.
later. So
Right.
yeah,
And
it's
before and
serious.
before honestly, before government starts regulating a lot of this stuff, the time that a lot of people are making money off these tools in very unique ways, because there's billions of people that live on the planet. So
You
there's
earn it.
billions of customers that you can always reach out to. But what
Yep.
is next on our list?
All right, then with the next update is for Meta. They updated Llama to reduce false refusal rates, and that just means that they're
Mm,
trying to manage the fake users, right? So they're trying to see
got it.
who is legit and who isn't.
Mhm.
And why is that important? Because they're using bots in order to get information, in order to scrape more data, and that actually can reduce the system as well. But that's another issue. But so trying to manage legit users,
Mhm.
um, actually, it has something to do with privacy too, but that's a topic for another day.
Okay.
So that's like a really important issue, and I'm glad
Mhm.
they do have that update. Next up, we have Stable Diffusion now has audio. So I mean,
Oh, shoot. Nice. I gotta
it's
go ahead and get
it's
that.
a lot. I
Yeah,
mean,
but I'm
it's
excited
great.
about that.
It's a lot. We still need more laws. I mean, for that
We do.
because
We need regulations. And I'm the type of person that's all about companies growing and us being innovative, but I'm also like, it's so much happening. We need copyright laws and protection laws that match the current state and the future state of where this is going. Because a lot of people are going to get
Mhm,
messed up. Even so that picture I showed, if you actually watch this on YouTube and Marcy's channel, the picture I showed, the funny thing was I did an interview for NPR a couple weeks ago for the book or
mhm,
whatever. And the lady was like, "Oh, that image looks like an image I've seen before." And I was like, "It
Yeah.
probably is." And I told her, I was like, "It probably is because they're probably using the metadata and my words are going to be similar. And it's great from that image to build the image." And like
Yeah.
legit, she knew the author. So I told the author, and she was like, "Oh my God, it does look like." And it could
Yeah.
have easily trained off of her. But how do you then protect someone who has their image out there, the metadata matches, and the AI scraped from it and created using that image? Because that's what it's doing, right? So how do you
Yeah.
protect people when we don't have laws that talk about this? We have laws about copyrights, but then does it cover an AI taking your image and changing it to the
Yeah.
point where it's a different character, but there's a slight resemblance? So it's very
You
interesting. And then even with music, like you're saying with audio, it's
yeah.
gonna be crazy.
You know what it
Everybody,
reminds me of? It
what?
reminds me of The Little Mermaid and Ursula.
Oh, when she stole her voice and she was her. Sometimes it be
Because
like that.
yeah, I mean, she had her sign the contract, and it's like I
Right.
always say, like, what is it gonna cost you? It's gonna cost you your voice.
Yeah,
It's it's your likeness.
it is.
It's like we don't have something to protect our face, to protect our
Mm-mm.
voice,
There's
our
nothing that
identity.
protects our likeness unless you're
So
famous and you've gotten things protected in your brand or whatever. It's totally different. But most of us do not have anything to protect our license. And we always throw our faces in those AI apps and all that stuff to train this stuff.
yeah,
Shoot, Facebook alone and your phone alone trains on your face
yeah.
every day. So
I
yeah.
said I should create an AI and call it Ursula AI.
All these contracts, everybody's signing their souls and lives away.
I'd be like, it's gonna be for
At least
lawyers.
she
I'm
got
gonna
the
make
print.
it.
At least she got the prints at the end. So it all worked out for her. But it don't work out. We are not fairy tales. It's not going to work out that well for us. So I protect your data, protect your information.
Um, okay, so the next one is that Google released IDX, which is also a browser-based coding environment. So
Mm,
I told you guys this week they're all dropping the
left and right.
coding tools that are specific for that, because now we're moving towards accuracy, right? Like the
Mhm.
novelty of,
Yeah, it got to
give
go.
me an answer, like, okay, great. Like when I try, like if you're a professional, most of the time you really can't use a lot of these software because they're not
No, because you're going to be
accurate.
screwed up.
And it's like
You're going to lose
you
your
have to
job.
review everything and then research it again and verify. It's extra time. I might as well do
Yeah,
it
you might as well do
directly
it
from my
yourself.
database. Like,
Yeah.
point.
And just have it maybe edit the language or clean it up. But you need to
Yeah,
do the work. It's like that lawyer who got caught up using that AI to give it fake case law. It's like, all
I
right.
saw that. That was
I'm like,
funny.
of all things, you could have searched that. But anyways,
I'm
we're
like, you don't
sorry
have
for
an
listening.
assistant? Like, where is your
Somebody could have
assistant?
said, let's verify. Like to clean up what you have, sure, but not to like write new information.
I
Because
think he was
even
trying
when
to
I
get away
use
with
it,
it.
there are times where I've used it for things and I'm like make this sound better. I'm like, what did you miss? Like my
Yeah,
prompts are, what did you miss? Map it all out and show me exactly if you missed anything. Like you have to be too much. And by that time, like you said, you might as well write it yourself.
yeah. All right, so next up we have Google Adapt, which is an adaptive computation model for input sequences. Basically, it's for machine learning and it
Mm-hmm.
handles new data. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
important. So, for example, let's use ChatGPT and their plugins. The reason that they need plugins is because maybe different software can handle different information in a different
Right.
way. It's like like a multimodal system. But with an adaptive computation model, it's able to say, okay, this information is this, and now we're able to create different feedback for you. So that's
Okay,
a
great.
really important feature that they created. Then the next topic happened like what I think was it yesterday or the day before yesterday with Zoom. I also
Oh
made a
yeah, yeah.
video about
Was that
it.
yesterday? I can't remember. This week.
Yeah,
AI
yesterday,
news of the week.
yesterday or day before
It
yesterday,
was.
last
We just talked
day.
about it, but I can't remember what day that was. Okay.
Yeah. So just to give a quick recap, so basically everybody was kind of going crazy because Zoom updated their terms,
Mm-hmm.
and people were saying, okay, Zoom is training their AI system with your data, right?
Yep.
And then everybody went crazy immediately, like, what do you mean you're training, right? So then Zoom immediately created this blog post. They were like, no, we're not training the AI.
What are you training?
Let me do a keyword, 'cause I don't think I'm in the middle. Let me do.
Go ahead.
We're not training. Don't sue me, Zoom. Okay.
Go ahead.
Basically, they said without your consent, and I'm
We
like,
all
wait a
consent
minute.
because we signed up for Zoom. If they sent new
Not,
TSCs, we're in there. You can't do anything about that. If you keep using the technology, you signed up for it.
this is the issue for the people, right? We're not talking
Uh-huh.
about them
Yeah,
because
the
now
companies are. I do it through my company, and I've done it through my own. I have my own license, but I also have company licenses. Like,
but the
how
issue
does that work?
is that how that the article is not always as clear as, okay, well, how are you acquiring the consent? Are you using a pop-up to make people more aware that you are
No,
training
that's
the
not happening.
software versus using the feature? Because I think that's the point of confusion and why so many people were upset, because they're
Hmm.
thinking, okay, if I'm saying I'm consenting to using your AI software, I'm thinking I'm just using the feature. Oh, it's a cool,
Right, not the
it doesn't
training
mean
part.
they don't even know what training means. They might not
Right,
even
no one knows
have
that
any.
in terms and conditions, or I really believe in active and like known consent, because even in the
Mhm.
legal field, there's some that comes up, is that people are saying, oh, they consented. You can't have true consent if you don't understand it. And I know there's been a movement to
Yeah.
get to plain language. If
Yes.
you do this, I will take your face and your
Yeah.
information and train this tool on that. And therefore, use your image, use your words, use your voice, use everything. They have to be very clear. Companies will not do that though.
Yeah. And then the third part of it that I actually didn't see many people even mentioning this,
Mhm.
right, is actually the GPU usage of training
Mm.
the AI model. So I talked about this last week too. Is frustrates me with people not understanding why you need desktops or why you need different computers.
Explain, why do we need desktops?
Okay, because a lot of this software I know with server side or cloud hosted AI software, those companies are typically hosting that software on their computer, right?
Right.
But guess what? Once you're using, let's say on Zoom, you're on your laptop, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, it slows down and it
Yep.
starts flickering now, and you're like, "What's going on? It's a bad day. It's not raining. What's going?" And then in the back end, it's like, "Oh, we're training." We're taking all your power. It's like, oh, okay. Like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, we're
Yeah.
taking all your power. You thought you're going to get good connection today? No, you're not. So it's like
Because
people need
a
to.
laptop does not have the same capacity as a desktop when it comes to the
Mhm.
amount of data capture that can be stored and transferred across the internet. So
Yeah.
that's what Marcy always talks about. This
Hmm.
stuff, some of this stuff actually requires you to have a desktop by virtue of like having to have a card, or what do you call them things? Like graphic card that's big enough to
Hmm.
even be able to take any of this stuff. Even the quality of your monitor is different because of the internal components in your computer. So that's something
Hmm.
just to think about and know.
And
And
then,
most of us have laptops and smartphones. We
yeah,
don't have the computing power of a desktop. A lot of us went away from desktop because everyone told us you could take your life everywhere. But those who are actually doing this work do have a desktop. Marcy's on a desktop. I'm not on a desktop. I'm
you
on
better
a
fall in love
laptop.
with your gaming boyfriend now because he has the hookup and we don't. And
Yes, my
he's
gaming boyfriend, he bought a desktop, and he just updated it because it wasn't the power he wanted. And he also trained it and like got it to the point of like you can train and tinker with these models to get it to the high quality. So, but people don't know that stuff. So like
yeah.
the everyday person is me. 90% of humans use these smartphones, right? And then the rest of folks may have a laptop, then a tablet of some sort. But to do the type of stuff you want to do, you have to get a desktop. And some people can build their own desktops. I know it sounds weird and sounds crazy, but a lot of people do build their own desktops or buy a desktop and then edit the parts out. You can literally sub the parts out and buy parts.
It's like, hey, tech bros. Hey.
I
It's like,
cannot.
oh, I think that's gonna be like the future flirtation thing. Like, you got your own test.
You
You
got
have a
your own
cooling.
desktop.
Woo.
Holler at me.
Did you build it? You have
Did
a
you build
cooling
your own?
system? It's like, okay, cooling system. Okay.
Right. Literally, I got 3 fans.
Like, what? You
I
can
done ran into
afford
my back.
Nvidia?
Right,
You have
Nvidia chips.
money.
I cannot.
You have money with Nvidia. You can
No, but it's a
afford
lot of money to build your own.
$4 grand. Like,
But
let me
this
find
is
out.
another point. Talk about the side of like back to what Marcy said earlier about the gap. If you can't afford that, That's a whole, and most people, honestly, I think the average salary right now for most Americans is around 60 something $1,000.
Mhm.
Most people who make $60,000 and also have a family are not buying and building a computer that costs 2,000
Mhm.
plus. They're just not doing that. And because of COVID, the price of technology components went up. They're down now because stuff is caught up. But during COVID, to build a computer was ridiculous. And right now, I think the cost to build or buy is around the same, based on what I know when Lil was doing his looking at his stuff. That's what he said. But yeah, so it's hard because folks do not have a way to do that. So in a future episode, fix your face. In a future episode, I do want to talk about how does a person who don't have the means figure out how to make beans. And we may talk about that tonight. I don't know. Keep going and we'll come back to it.
I was going to talk about dating the tech bros again. Like,
Oh God.
that's why I stopped.
It's not the only way. Stop yourself. Tech bros, that's her. That's not AI. Live your life. I got a tech bro.
Put it in your byline. I can afford a desktop.
Right.
You're gonna get more girls soon.
Put in your Tinder. Can you afford a desktop for the future of our lives?
Okay, and then the next part to this. But imagine if now you have 10 different companies training on your
You know, I
laptop.
got room for that. Just being honest. Like you don't have room for all that on your computer. Like you can't
Who's
do all
gonna
that.
get it? Who's gonna get a clear vision on their video? Nobody.
No, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like my video right now.
I mean,
I live a
we Android people will.
low level life.
I mean, I don't know about you iPhone people,
Please don't do
I
that.
mean,
That's not appropriate.
Android people, will
I
be
mean,
good.
y'all will probably I do admit that y'all will get us, we will not.
Will be
And we're
good.
okay with that.
Yeah,
We've settled that. We're
yeah.
good.
Yeah, but it's a lot because and then you're not gonna know why. And imagine if you're not even a tech person, you don't know how to check for
Mm-mm.
that. Like,
Mm-mm.
most people don't
Nope.
even know what the task manager is. They don't know how to check
Mm-mm.
the GPU
That's the
usage.
thing I learned about 20 some years ago.
Yeah.
That
It's like,
control alt delete, or is that it? I forgot what it was. I forgot the commands.
it's
What
like,
it is. I always have to clean mine up.
can you imagine your grandma like, "I don't know why this is not
I mean, even
working."
now, but that is also a business or industry. Even now, like I've known people who have taught people who are in a different generation, like Gen or like baby boomers, of
Mhm.
anything. They have courses to teach them how to use smartphones and like in-person experiences because all the phones are moving to smart. So they had to learn how to use it. So people were actually teaching people that and getting paid for that or setting
Yeah,
up their computers. People will still buy desktops, especially depending on generation. We're still buying desktops. They need someone to help set it up with all the new stuff. They
yeah,
can hire someone to bring or to come in and set that up for them. So that is an actual thing that will need to still happen. Like populations will age, new technologies will come out. So people who train people on those things and who are technically savvy can make money in that.
yeah. But I mean, but this is important as far as laws. That's why I said that the thing with Zoom is so important because having it in your terms is not gonna be good enough. Because now when all these companies are trying to train on your system and
That's
you
a lot.
can't even do your work, and people don't know why, it's gonna be a problem. That's a violation of my own system now at that
Right,
point,
and the
you
amount of
know?
data that's coming through there. But that gets
Exactly.
to what we
It's
were talking about the other day, like around the data, paying people for their data and stuff. Like they're gonna have
Mhm.
to. That even makes me know more. They're gonna have to pay people for that.
Yeah, so it's that's a serious issue, and I think people don't realize how big it is, as far as that in the future. And then
Yeah,
one of the
'cause it's gonna be everywhere. Everything we try to do, something. I mean, think about the places we know now that are training our data that we already kind of agreed to, like the
yeah,
Facebooks of the world, everything dealing with marketing, Instagrams, Twitters, TikToks, like all of them we've given access. Now imagine everything you sign up for is training on your data.
it's
I'm gonna need a cut, government. So y'all need to figure that out. I'm gonna need
it's
a
a lot.
percentage if these companies are making trillions of dollars off of
Mhm.
my me giving them something, even if it's a few cents, a few whatever, that counts and adds up. Like they're gonna have to figure that out, especially when we think about jobs of the future. But I'm gonna stop. Go ahead.
It was kind of like Amazon with the Ring app where
Mhm.
they were
Mm.
interconnected in order to I think provide the internet service or something. Was it the internet service or
They wanted to provide if you're talking about this, they wanted to provide connecting all the cameras so they can get more view. I did not do that because that's too darn
yeah,
much, and I already felt like it was too much already in
yeah,
my house. So, but they wanted you to give access so you could share data across
right.
different accounts, so my neighbor could see or police could see my camera. I'm not doing that. I'm not there
Yeah,
yet.
it's a lot.
I'm a little bit in the past when it comes to stuff like
All right, so
that.
then next up, we're going to talk about the SEC,
Oh
which
yeah.
is the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to talk about the chair, Gary Gensler, and he recently made a statement that he believes that AI is going to cause a financial crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I've talked about this 4 months ago, but y'all don't
Mm-hmm.
keep watching my videos.
Clearly, she wants y'all to watch her YouTube. Please watch this girl on YouTube so we can stop saying this. But
I'm
go
just
ahead.
saying because I've talked about it seems like I have a good
But the
sense of
thing is, most folks
foreshadowing.
don't even know to look for it. So that's why it's important to come on or to do this, to podcast it, to put it on Instagram. Like people got to know it's happening. Most folks, you live the world. I kind of live in it. I'm like, I'm on a street next door to it. Like I don't even live it as much as you do. But it's good to have these conversations. So now people will
Yeah.
know, like, what did you just say? Financial what?
I'm like, I
AI
told
what?
you guys this four
What?
months ago. I'm gonna need for you guys to catch up.
You're not listening.
I
Let me tell you, they don't care. They'll care in a year when it's a problem.
I'm like, well,
Or
that's
not
their
a year. I don't
problem.
mean, I'm not saying there's a financial crisis in a year. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying normally that's why you have to talk about these things. So then when the time is right, people will know and be able to come to you to
It's
find
gonna
out what's
be too
happening.
late for y'all.
And that's
Watch
fine.
my
That's what happens
video.
in life. And then there'll be something else that we're worried about.
Anyway, yeah, it's insane. So I'm anyway. I'm not gonna
Marcel
get
is
upset
on
anymore.
level 10 today. This is so we can do our temperature check. So y'all know she's on 10. She's not at 0 where we started. This is supposed to be the fun stuff.
I
Tricia. But
I
go
don't
ahead,
think
explain.
I
Talk
don't
through
I
his
don't think
Isaac
they're
Newton.
actually ready. Most people are not ready for the kind of conversation I really want to have.
Yeah,
I
you can't
think
do that until 10 years from now.
his quote was, well, obviously he said that there could be a financial crisis due to AI. But he also mentioned where he said that he believes that it could promote herding with individual actors making similar decisions. And I'm like, let's do a
What do
throwback
you
to
mean?
games.
What's the word you said? You said hurting or hurting?
No, herding.
Okay, making
As
sure I heard
in,
you right.
right. So I'm like, think about GameStop, right?
Mhm.
But now, what happened
Oh,
with
on anything.
GameStop and
Yeah.
then shorting the stock? Imagine using
I
AI,
mean, right
right?
now they're making 500. One AI make 500%.
Exactly. Um,
Imagine if you were to able to do that, and like some people can make a whole bunch of money, or you can use that AI to manipulate the system when it comes to stocks. You can
mhm,
send out either a fake Elon, a fake someone who can say something and change the world. You can steal their voice. You can do a whole bunch of stuff to literally make the market go. I totally see that happening.
yeah. And I think the key word that he used is individual actors. And this is where we go back to education,
Yeah.
the divide as far as resources,
Mhm.
meaning if you have the desktops, if you have the knowledge, if you have the coding abilities, if you
Mhm.
have the community,
Yep.
people around you who can all work together as well, you're going to have people who know how to advance beyond what most people have the capacity to do with AI. And that's why the next quote he says he wants to make sure that the SEC also promotes competitive efficient markets and transparency and fair access. But the truth is, there is no fair access because majority of people have no idea what's going
Right.
on right now. They don't have even the proper resources. Like I think a lot of people online who are into AI, we're kind of like stuck in a bubble because we're thinking, oh, we know all this information. Everybody must know. We're like in a very
No one
1%.
knows. No
Most
one
people are
knows.
not thinking about this stuff. They're
Some
not
people don't even
thinking,
use ChatGPT. Yeah, they got 100 million plus users, but I think tech people have to understand that the average person is just living their life. And
Yeah.
they see these things as novelties, as fun things to interact with. They're not seeing it. I mean, I think more people are awakening to it because of
Mhm.
ChatGPT, but been talking about this for a few years as well. And it's just something where people to this day are still like, oh, I didn't realize. And they're still going to
Right.
be that way because there is a small percentage of y'all who truly understand what's happening. So I think that's very important for us all to remember.
Yeah. And I think the last thing he said, the foundational thing that the SEC is focusing on, is how to solve the problem, primarily, where he said brokers would put their interest over the investor's interest because they're going to focus on
They'll make a
making
percentage.
the most amount of money.
Yeah.
So that has to come with laws, policies, regulations. But the truth is, all this stuff is going to be implemented already. Then it's
Yeah.
like the laws are going to have to try to catch up. Look how long it takes for people to vote. And even when they are speaking about this stuff, I mean, I don't even want to talk about the hearings because these people sound like they have no idea what they're talking
They
about.
don't. Yeah.
So
That's
how are they going to
accurate.
properly even vote or even come to a helpful conclusion?
You hope that the people who are working with them and doing the research and the people who are testifying bring enough information, but I still feel like they're way too late on this. I think by
We
the end
have
of the year, if they don't have something in place, it's already I already feel like we're already out the bag. But if they don't put some laws in place by the end of the year, I'm really concerned.
it's
And
like,
I'm not
look, we've
saying
been
very
yeah, go ahead.
I'm not saying be crazy about it. I'm saying like there
Mhm.
should be guidelines. I'm like if China did it, and China is pretty like like they're advanced when it comes to technology. If you look at what they're doing with their kids and AI and learning and teaching and all that stuff, and what they're doing with their social systems and getting
Their AI
tickets and all this
software
stuff.
is far more advanced than ours. I'm just going to
Right,
call
but
it
I'm
like
saying if
it.
they're doing it, we have to also look at if they're doing it as someone a group or a country that's very advanced and wants to push the limits to it. We
Mhm.
need something too, even if it's just guardrails and guidelines around how to use it. Like even I'm still upset that we don't have data laws in this country, similar to what is in the GPDR. Like in the UK, they have laws around how you use data for people. Because even in that article you're talking about, they were talking about data ownership and what happens then when these major platforms benefit because they know how to use AI. They can manipulate systems to use AI to
Mhm.
become the top. Then what do you do? Like who owns that data? Do we get a percentage? I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm gonna Andrew Yang that to death because at some point jobs are gonna be very hard to come by, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have to keep a population not in war or not fighting each other and not hungry. Like you
Yeah.
cannot take it. People have to be able to contribute to life, whether it's through AI content creation, wherever our jobs are in the future. They have to figure that out. And if we don't do that by the end of the year, I would be very concerned.
But like to say two things, like I also yesterday I also posted about the proposed AI Act by the European Union where
Mm-hmm.
they want to control, how AI is actually implemented. But
Right.
in the video that I posted, it's like, okay, now imagine running your business and now you have to deal with 10 different unions with all
Yeah,
different
across
types of
the country,
laws.
across the
How are
world.
you
Yeah.
even going to be able to match up? Because I think one of the laws they propose is like, oh, you have to have certain disclaimers when you use AI software, and it's like, or you may not be able to, use certain AI models, or maybe, because cultural acceptance of different behaviors, they may
But
say, well, we don't want that.
I appreciate that because even remember when they did the privacy updates with the cookies and all that in the
Mhm.
UK, that we had to adapt and US countries had to adapt because they operate also in the UK. So we also got the benefit in the US from what they were doing. But that is a little bit different when that to me should be a global. And I know some people have been talking about what it means to do a global conversation around AI limits and AI guardrails. But when they did that, I was happy that I at least got some data and I had active prompt that said, do I want to be tracked? Always, whatever, cookies. And you actually have to do it on every single website. So that came because the UK put that in place, not because of US companies wanted to do
Yeah,
it. They did it because it's too much work to try to do two things for two different places.
yeah. The issue is that it can limit innovation, though.
No, that's
So
my only concern. Why I think it needs to be at a global level when it comes to that, because I know we're global.
who
I mean, we're
decides
about to
that?
say.
Who's going to
No, I'm saying
decide
they
and
all
say,
come
hey,
together. No, I'm saying like kind of like think about they already have
our
groups that come together around this stuff. Like they talk about world issues. Granted, people are missing from those world groups. A lot of people are missing from those groups. It's
yeah,
only mainly countries that are Western that sit there. But
yeah.
within that, they need to figure that out at a different level, and it shouldn't leave out countries that they don't feel like should be in that conversation
But the
because
truth
they're
is
not.
also, how many months, like, let me ask you that since that's your industry. How many months does it usually take
Girl,
to
lifetime.
to
It's not
to
happening by the end of this year.
no, that's not what I'm saying. But what is the usual time period to create a law on like one subject?
There is no one subject law.
No,
Because
like
if you're looking at the federal level, most that's one thing I actually when I was like interested in doing that, I'm like,
mhm,
I believe law should be on one subject. Because then you
mhm,
can pass a one subject law. Most laws at the
mhm,
federal level, it's hundreds, if not thousands of things in that law. So you
mhm.
literally are saying yes. If I say yes to someone AI, people want to put their stuff in there because it's
Yeah,
leverage. So as you
exactly.
say yes, then all this stuff has happened. That takes a very long time. A lot of laws,
Like
if you
how
look at the
long?
rate, no, I'm saying it depends. It could be a law could take 20 years to pass. Like I'm not trying to be funny. Depending on the law, it may not make it through.
What would
And
be
a
like,
lot of
let's
laws
say, the shortest and like a
during,
medium
let me say
average?
this, during 26, and I may get my numbers wrong, but during around the 2020 time period, I think the success of laws in Congress was under 10% of them getting passed. And I think when I looked at the numbers, I could be wrong because this has been 3 years ago, but it was very low. I actually
Mhm.
ran the data or ran the numbers on it because I was really trying to figure out. I think it was like a single digit number, but I don't want to be wrong. But I think it was. I'm pretty sure it's under 20%, but it was very low the amount of laws that passed. So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying, and that's every. So now that's just at a federal level. Now you go down to state level. They have laws
Mhm.
that they govern. They have county level, all that stuff. And depending on where you are, like this should be a federal law because it's dealing with, in my mind, commerce and all that stuff. And then there's some state laws around that. But it's so many layers. It's the feds have to do something about it. And honestly, at a global level, we have to talk about it. But it's hard to pass laws.
So
And
then,
you're trying to pass a law
let's
about something
do
people don't know about. So you have to
let's do a
educate
let's do a
them.
fake case study, right? Let's say a year. I just want to
It's not
get
going to
the
be a
example.
year.
No, I'm just making up a number.
Okay.
Let's say it was a year to pass a law, right?
Executive orders can happen quicker if there's something, but then that's hard because you got to see if it's something he even has powers to do, like at the presidential level. But it's hard.
Right.
But yeah,
The issue is we have like 20 updates per day.
yeah, that's what I said. Even if something get done at the end of the year, it's too late, and they're not going to get something done at the end of the year, which is
So it's
sad.
like if we have
Or
like 20
surprise
updates,
me. I'm open to be surprised.
so it's like it's a lot of updates, a lot of changes. The
Mhm.
laws are not going to be able to catch up right now. It's
Oh no,
insane.
no, they're already behind.
Um,
Last week they were behind. December 2022 they were behind. December 2019 they were behind.
yeah.
So we're
I
literally
know
catching up to what we
I know you
know is
wanted to talk
happening.
about two other things, right? I know you wanted to talk about
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Cornell released a study. I did an Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. I did a few videos on this one on YouTube as well. Cornell released a study where they basically took different types of keyboards
mhm,
and they trained the AI on the keyboard sounds for each
mhm,
key so it could identify what you were typing into the computer. So, for example, if I have right here, I have a Logitech. They took a Logitech, had someone type all the different and trained it on all the different numbers, keys, and everything that were there. And they were basically able to, through you typing, get your password and your data and your information just by you typing it out by training the model on your keyboard through
that's
and then this is the part. It was through a smartphone microphone that they trained it through and it could pick it up. So that made me very nervous and that
yeah,
you could be in a cafeteria at work somewhere open using someone's Wi-Fi or whatever, just sitting there. Someone could have their phone and literally look over to where you, and not even look over, because they can hear you typing in what wefsite you're going into.
yeah,
Bankofamerica.com, she just typed into. her username is da 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 da. Her password is this, without them ever having to move. They just need to know what type of laptop you're working on or what type of keyboard you're working on, and then basically click on the thing and say, "Oh, she has a MacBook Pro. All right, let's
Yeah.
go," and can do that. So that was crazy to me. So that was the first one. The second one was there was I can't remember which. I feel like this was also a research one, but there was one where they were using ChatGPT or GPT-3, GPT-4, and actually using AI to figure out your passwords, and had a 50% success rate. So I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm in
Yeah.
space. Y'all can stay down there in Earth, but my backdrop is a space backdrop. There's no way we are going to be able to keep up with the craziness that's going to happen. You can
Yeah.
train AI on darn near anything, y'all. I think I need to say that again. On
Yeah.
anything that has a pattern that can be repeated. Humans too, because we're not as random as we think we are. We stick to
Yeah.
patterns. Our brain works in a certain way. It can talk like you, can write like you, can type like you. If
Yeah.
it's now guessing your password because it's that good and has that much information on you, and it can listen to your keyword types, like it's just so much level of privacy that's going to have to happen for humans. And again, the government, I'm sad to say, is not where I needed to be on this topic.
And the tip is don't use open networks.
Say that
People.
again, because a lot of people do not listen to that.
Don't use open networks because what is the number
AKA,
one
don't
thing?
use public Wi-Fi ever. Whether you're on a
Exactly.
plane, train, automobile, at your mama house. If it's open or accessible to everyone, don't use it, because literally I've seen like one guy, he actually does this on purpose. He sits on planes and he gets on the Wi-Fi. Then he sends people and lets them know, I see all your
Yeah.
stuff, to stop them from doing it.
Yeah.
You have a phone with private hotspot or what have you, or use a network, because you can basically give all your data away. And that's just
Yeah.
that was from the beginning, right? That's not even the new stuff. That's just like common privacy things you should be thinking about.
But many people are not aware of that because once
Oh no, they're
again,
not.
we go back to the educational system. We go back. I know you always tell me about the literacy rate. Give me that
Yeah, it's
number
very
then
low.
because it's unbelievable.
Most people speak, or most people can read on average at the 8th grade reading level. So you write things at that level because most people are there. We have a huge problem with illiteracy in this country. If you don't believe me, search literacy rates in different cities you're near. That is a big problem. But on average, 8th grade reading levels where they tell us to focus.
So for me, because that issue is so important, I always go back to the educational divide. I always go back to the financial divide as far as resources that are not put into, for example, a low income community, and how that is going to create an issue for people who cannot afford the tech, they can't afford the education, they're attending schools that only don't even have books for every student. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have, laptops. They don't even have the ability to pay their teachers who are
Right.
not even trained in AI. How are the teachers
Right.
who are trained in AI going to teach the students? They can't. So for me, this issue is extremely important because we always
It's
have
bad.
to be aware of how our population, and by the way, this is not about low income or middle class. The truth is, as we're living in the US, we all have to function together. So
Right.
when we start creating this divide because of AI and we don't take this serious, that's going
Mm-hmm.
to affect the economy as a whole because then
Mm-hmm.
individuals are not going to have the opportunity to be as productive as they can be without the resources. So we
Right.
really do have to have an entirely new restructuring of the educational system in order to try to bring all citizens back to at least a level of higher than an eighth grade reading level and
Right.
have the competence and ability to use AI software to improve the economy for the next generation. Because we
Yeah.
cannot continue with this, caste system of finances. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be beneficial for anybody in the long run.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And that's
Yeah,
an amazing way, I think, to go to something a little bit more happier before we close out.
I know.
Anything else you're excited about this week in AI? If
Sorry, I
you're
keep.
not, it's okay. It's a sad week in AI. Sorry,
No, no,
folks. This
I
we
have
should
one.
rate
I
it
have
on
one.
smiley face. We should say smiley face. angry face or red face so folks know when they're coming in what they're getting. We should start grading the weeks.
I try to hold back because I
No,
get
you don't need to hold
annoyed.
back. It's fine. It's This Week in AI. You're passionate about it. I'm here for it. I love to talk about these topics. So please feel free to share. But is there anything positive?
I'll
This
leave you
Week in AI.
guys with. I'm gonna do a review, so I'll do my fate. You guys know I love Midjourney. So
Yes.
with I guess I don't know. I might do it tonight. I might do it tomorrow morning
Okay.
because now with Leonardo they have I
Mhm.
forgot what it's called, PhotoReal, I think.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Okay.
so
I
now
remember
we are
that.
starting to see like more models now having like better skin texture, more
Mm.
realistic features.
Oh,
So I
cool.
do want to do a comparison with Midjourney and then Leonardo. I'll probably be doing that. I'll probably do it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Um, so that'll be
So make
something
sure.
fun for us to try out and test out. Let me
Oh,
think.
that'd be great to see.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else like that's
It's
really
also fun
fun.
to not have anything happy about AI this week. Other than me, I'm AI. But no, this is a so the reality is each week on AI may not be happy. Some stuff is a little bit scary and a little bit sad, especially if you think about it from a human point of view. And my thing about AI is that we have to do this with humans or we shouldn't do this at all. And we have to remember when I say humans, I mean human emotion, compassion, and understanding that there are gaps in this country, whether you agree on why they exist or not, they exist. They're clear as day. And if we
Hmm.
want to have a productive society and we want to keep being number one, other countries are going to figure out how to come together quicker than us, and we got to figure out how to come together. So let's all
Yeah,
like rest on that as a good closing thing, is that at the end of the day, we all can be very successful with this thing, or we all can have a bigger gap and only a few are successful and then the rest of us are trying to take your house. So we don't want that to happen. Just joking, but seriously,
you
let's all
started
do this.
the upcycle and then it
I
went back.
did, but I had to joke. I had to crack a joke for a second. But no, seriously, let's all figure out how to do this together. We'll be here every single week talking about all the news in AI. Thank you, Marcy, for bringing all the news. Put a smile on your face before we wrap this up for folks looking
Tell
on
them your
podcast.
channel. Tell them your
She's sad.
channel.
You said what?
Tell them your channel.
Oh yeah, and yours too. Marcy's channel is Marcy Noel. It will also be in the show notes on the podcast. On
Hmm.
YouTube, I am AI Decodes at everything at AI Decode. So please make sure y'all stay up to beat and stay listening to us. We're saying this so you can know. I know you may not follow other people because you may not even know to follow those other people. So we're trying to be your go-to girls for AI. We're trying to bring this stuff and break it down in a way that's easy for you to understand. So make
Yeah.
sure you subscribe. We'll be happier next week. This week, nah. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.